Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'm going to be planting up my sunflowers for the year. Now I often grow one or two on my balcony, but this year I don't think I'm going to do that. The reason being I never have a big enough pot for them on my balcony, and it's quite windy on my balcony as well, and there's just not quite enough sunlight for me to get the best results, and I'd like to use the space for some more colourful plants. So I'll actually be growing these in a garden nearby. I'll probably be able to visit every 2 weeks and keep an eye on them, but I won't be able to obviously care for them every single day, but I'll be looking after them until they go in the ground in my own flat, growing them on. So I've gone for quite a selection of different sunflowers this year, mostly quite large sunflowers. I've got red ones, yellow ones, and then a whole different variety of different types of those. So I'll show you what ones I'm going for this year. I'm going for this one called Ruby Sunset. You can see it's got lovely kind of red burgundy kind of colour. And that one grows up to about 1.5 meters. So that's quite a small one for a sunflower. It doesn't get really particularly big. It doesn't say if it's multi-headed or not, but it does say it flowers all summer long. So hopefully this one will actually be multi-headed, because I prefer the multi-stemmed ones, because you get not just one flower, you get several flowers coming on afterwards. So I've got that one, and then going along, probably one of the largest ones I've got is this one called Titan. You can see there it's a really big, large giant head it has. This claims it can get up to 350 centimeters, so 3.5 meters. That would be quite a large plant. This is also quite a stocky plant, really thick stems, so hopefully this one will actually get to that height, or at least up to 2 or 3 meters tall. And it just has one really big giant head, and they're supposed to be some of the largest flowers you can get on sunflowers. So that's to be really spectacular, but as it's only a single-headed one, it's not going to flower for very long, but when it does, it's going to be pretty spectacular. So the next one I've got is probably my favourite one, which is Kong F1. This is probably one of the biggest ones I've ever grown. I've had over 100 heads on this variety before. It grows to about, it does claim that it can grow quite high. It says 420 centimeters. Personally, when I've grown this, it only grows to about 2 meters, 2.5 meters. However, it's got a trunk that's about as thick as a young tree. Really strong plant, you don't have to worry about the wind. You've got leaves which are the size of dustbin lids, really big, massive leaves. And after you get the first flower, you get hundreds of these smaller flowers coming. So that one is one of my favourites. I've only got 2 seeds left of this, and it's quite an old packet. It does actually say you should have sown it by last year, so I'm not going to get 100% results from this. And I've only got the 2 seeds in the packet, so this one might not take, but hopefully it does, because this is my favourite sunflower. The next one is possibly the tallest one. It's called Giraffe. You can see the picture there. And this one claims that it can grow to 5 meters 20 centimeters, which is phenomenal if it can get to that height. But it has got a very thin stem, so this one will need staking. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to get this to the full height before the wind destroys it, because it's quite windy up here in Scotland. But it's worth a try, see if it can really get as tall as it claims. So it's just going to be an enormously tall, leggy plant with one single flower. These kind aren't really my favourite type of sunflower, because you just get a lot of growth. The flowers are really far away, so you can't really see them very well. And you just get the one flower, and these really tall ones tend not to have such a big flower as well. The biggest flowers tend to be the slightly smaller, stockier plants. But it'll be interesting to see how tall I can grow it. I love a challenge, so I'll see how tall I can get this one to grow. And then finally, a very different one is this one. It's got kind of a weird name. It's called Waooh or Woo. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced, but this is a very short one. It says it only grows to 40 to 60 centimeters in height, so it's a very small plant, but this claims that it's going to flower all summer long. It's supposed to be really short. It's more like a bush, this one, so instead of growing a single stem, it's supposed to grow lots and lots of stems and be covered in flowers all summer long. So this will be quite interesting. This might be a good substitute for some of your summer bedding plants, possibly if you've got a large pot or part of the garden for them. So it'll be interesting to grow this one, see how it does, because it'd be nice to grow sunflowers as kind of like a little plant that grows flowers all summer long, as opposed to some of the giants that we have. So I'll be planting that one as well to see how it does. Apart from the Kong, which is only going to have one pot, can only have 2 seeds. Each variety will have 2 pots, so each variety is going to have 4 seeds. Hopefully I might get 4 plants from each one. As I have an extra pot, I'm going to have 3 pots of Titan, making 6 plants. So I just decided to use the Titan because that's the most interesting one for me. It's supposed to be a really stocky plant, as well as a really large, tall plant, and of course giant flowers as well. I'll just go ahead and plant them all up now. Now it's quite interesting to see the different sizes of seeds. So the ones here are Giraffe. You can see they've got some really nice big seeds. But it's interesting to see how small the seeds are on the Waooh plant. They're very small, but I kind of expected that because it's a much smaller flower, a much smaller plant. You can see them there, incredibly small. If I put them next to the other one, you can see they're probably almost 10 times smaller. So it's interesting to see the different sizes. I'll just have a quick comparison to see if there's any that are even larger than the Giraffe. The Titan one's a bit more like a traditional sunflower, just with the black stripes on them, but they're quite short, fat seeds. Going on to the Kong. Kong has seeds which are almost identical, to be honest, to the Giraffe. They're possibly from a similar breeding stock, I'm not sure. Although they're both very tall, but they do flower a little bit differently. And then going on to the Ruby Sunset, which is the large red flower. This one again has some very small seeds, although interestingly the seeds seem to vary quite a bit. Some of them are white, some of them are brown, some of them are almost black, so I'm not sure why there's so much variety. It is supposed to be just one variety in this packet, but there's a lot of variation in the seeds there. So these might be smaller, because these are smaller plants again, only about 1.5 meters tall, but you can see there are quite a few different colours. So for the bigger seeds, like the Giraffe variety here, which are quite large, I'm simply just pushing them into the soil. I'm just putting them in point first, because that is where the roots come out from. The roots come out from the point. So I'm just pushing them in very easily like that. For the smaller seeds, what I'm doing is I'm scraping away the soil and just dusting it over the top, because the small ones are too small to put in manually by hand. So that's all the sunflowers now potted up. What I'll do now is I will soak these in the sink. So I'm just going to put them in the sink, put the plug in, let the water rise up just to about this kind of height around the pot. So what that will do is it will let the compost soak up the moisture very evenly and slowly, and that will stop any of the seeds getting washed out. If I just sprinkled it from the surface, there's a good chance that you'll disturb the seeds. Some of them might float to the surface or get washed out of the pot entirely, especially for some of the smaller seeds, such as the Ruby and the Waooh. So I'll give them a soak, put them in my propagator, and hopefully they should germinate pretty quickly. Sunflower seeds, if you give them some warmth, they do germinate quite fast. I'll keep them under grow lamps for a little while, and or a sunny windowsill if I've got any space. And I'll give you guys an update in a few weeks, hopefully when they're starting to germinate.